Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Haemo-Goblin League. Hooray!
Whee!
I'm joined by Matt
Hello.
and Tom,
Hello.
and that is Tom and not Thomas, for avoidance of doubt.
For extra clarification.
Yeah,
We are the same person.
perhaps
Well, yet to be on the same podcast, so
that is true.
you
Yeah,
sound different.
Clearly,
Yeah,
the plan is we've either got to have both of you on the same one, or neither of you on any podcast ever again.
Oh.
Yeah. Or only have one, so we can consider this like a trial, and we can see who gets more viewers in this one, or more listeners in this one versus, I don't know.
Yeah.
Versus the last one, I guess me and Tom were on that. Thomas were on that. That's. Or we could just get used to two people having a similar name.
I could get my all my band fans on it, so I'll get like an extra 2 people.
That would work. We just turn this into a big popularity contest and keep people saying it. Yeah. We have no people that listen to the podcast, but everyone just comes in to get the viewing. That would work.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the first half of season 4, how it's gone, where the players are, having some predictions for the second half of the season, and probably throwing some shade at the people that aren't on the podcast because they can't defend themselves.
This is why I'm on the podcast. I remember hearing podcasts in past where I was totally, I don't know, destroyed. That's probably not a fair assessment, but yeah, now I'm here. I'm notorious for really ruining people's reputations. I don't know.
Yes, on the last one, I think the two of you are on. I think Tom described you as one of the nicest people.
Did he?
I'm sure he did. And now you're here. You've got this view that, clearly the feedback since last time is that you have been destroying everyone's reputation. So
only on the pitch. Only on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been making up some nasty rumours as well.
Oh yeah, I
just sell it.
Want to repeat what he said about James on here, but in the pre-show, oh dear.
Look, everybody does stinky poos sometimes. It's just that James is particularly bad. No, I don't know. I'm just making that up now.
James has thought somewhere just going, oh man, how did he?
I don't. Yeah, for the record, I don't actually think that James has any particularly more pungent poo than anybody else. As far as I'm aware, I don't think I've ever smelled his. Anyway, that's enough. We're way off topic here. I don't know how
Swiftly changing topic. I can't think of a good segue that isn't just revolting. So,
talking of poop, how's the vampires doing?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of bloody fecal matter, to vampires for blood.
Oh dear. So let's
tell you what.
Let's just reiterate this league. It's a double XP season.
Oh,
worth pointing that out.
That was a good little change of subject there. I'm glad you did, to be fair.
Yeah. So although we're halfway through, with one game to be played, and then we're technically halfway through. We are at a stage where actually, if we were in season 2, where we had the same number of players, teams would have very similar XP. And actually, before we start discussing the games and what the players are, I'm not sure if it's just because of that or if it's been coincidental, but it feels like there have been more tries this season, more touchdowns, and more results, much less draws. Presumably as a result of players wanting an extra incentive for them to score.
I've definitely tried to be less defensive this season just because of the extra XP.
I think my playing style has changed, but not as a result of the idea of getting more experience, just sort of because I have a different team, I think. But then, yeah, I haven't been sort of really going for it any more than I think I normally would.
Yeah, I think Matt is also naturally one of the most attacking players in the league anyway. So in a league where everyone is more attacking, everyone is just more Matt, rather than Matt being any different. But speaking of someone very close to Matt, but not Matt, we have David as our 8th place player, which I think our predictions at the start of the league, at least mine and Thomas's, were pretty unanimous that David was going to be down there. In fact, I think if Tom beats James, my prediction is pretty much bang on at the halfway stage. So if no one can win or lose any games, we just have 8 rounds of draws in the second half of the season, then that would be brilliant for my prediction.
So if Thomas beats James, as in the Skaven v Skaven match that's happening tomorrow.
Yeah, then I think I've got it bang on. But yeah, David at last. We knew it was going to be uphill as vampires.
He's had one win.
Yeah, he had a win against James, which I saw a bit of, and he smashed him 3-0. And looking at it at the time, it was looking like, geez, this is what vampires can do. This is really impressive. And then playing against them, you're like, oh yeah, they have the best plays in the game, and they have consistently the worst plays in the game.
I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but I'm pretty sure someone said this to me, but I feel like his team has too many vampires, if that makes sense. I feel like he needs more thralls.
Yeah, I think that was me.
I'd agree with that as well.
Because I managed to, in our game, get him down to only vampires left. So I just attacked his thralls and kept just knocking them out or injuring them. And eventually his vampires just walked off because there were no thralls left. So I wasn't concerned about them at all because, they couldn't do anything to me once they started failing that bloodlust roll.
Yeah, it's a really tough balance to get because thralls are not good players and you kind of don't want them, but you need them to make the vampires work.
I imagine they're quite cheap though, right? Are they cheap?
40-50k region. Yeah, they're in that low end. They're
basically if he basically stacked up his, had more than 11 players. Let's say he had 2 vampires and 15. How many do you get? You get 16 maximum, don't you?
Yes.
So 14 thralls, 2 vampires. I don't know if that's overkill, but then he's got.
Yeah, I don't think. I think the other thing with vampires is you're one of the teams that really wants to start with a 4-3 roll. So having.
Oh right, yeah.
You have an expenditure on that. You have expenditure on your vampires, but yeah, I'm in agreement with you that you want the probably 3 vampires, as many thralls as you can as your team.
Yeah, I think though with this double experience league, I expect he probably went higher vampires thinking, I'll get lots of experience. But I think maybe it still needs to be the case that it's sort of built up to.
Yes, not helped by his first game, which one of us was involved in and rather battered, if someone wants to own up to that.
What's that? Well, I batted. Oh, wait, yeah, he had to reset his team. That's not the first time. I'm quite proud because my orcs have finished 2 teams. In my first season, I think I annihilated Euan's team.
I know. We drew the match, but my team was unrecoverable. And,
yeah. I seem to remember there was a lot of Kislev jumping and actually killing themselves. But yeah, quite proud that I ended 2 teams. I guess.
Yeah,
but there was a beautiful moment in that with Bloodlust, where he actually ran to the end zone, but then it wasn't a touchdown. And we're like, what's actually going on? But we didn't realize he'd already bloodlusted. So he literally got to the end, dropped the ball, and just ran off the pitch.
Oh, it's so harsh.
I was going to say, to David's credit, though, I think he takes it very well.
Yes.
I think he's a very positive player. So I think coming into this, he knew it was going to be tough. And I think that helps anyway. I feel like if it were me, I'd be struggling somewhat. But I think David's very good. I remember I was overhearing the game that he was playing against Kate, and I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something else, but every time I sort of heard it was going well for Kate, David's reaction was actually kind of quite nice. He's like, "Yeah, this is good, well done," you know. So I think kudos to David for being a good loser.
I think he, like, everyone knows he's a good player as well. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think as well, like, it helps when you're playing a team that bad that your expectations are so low. Like the season, well, last season when I was playing as Underworld, who look like gods compared to the Vampire team. It was like, oh, okay, things are going wrong. I don't really care. Right up until the point where I was like, oh, I'm in the playoffs. This is suddenly quite serious now. But it's like, oh, 2 players are dead, one's maimed. Well. Whereas if the same thing happens when I'm playing Chaos, I'm like, damn you, game! What are you doing?
Yeah, that's why I keep thinking I might play Halflings next.
Well, we were talking about this the other day, me and Matt, and I was thinking maybe both me and Matt could be Halflings next season, because we're always so tied, and you know it's usually quite even. Apart from last season where he beat me like 3 times, the only 3 defeats I had all season. But it would be good for us both to be Halfling and see who's the better player once and for all. I think Matt is slightly the better player out of the 2 of us, but it would be good to kind of.
That's very good. Even though I beat you 3 times, I think that was sort of down to a combination of the team I was playing and the team you were playing, and the way you played that team. Because I had a lot of trouble against Thomas, but then he had a lot more block. That was a big issue for me. Yeah, I mean, I think whether or not I do that next season will be based on how well we do this season. Because I think I'd like to see where we end up being before I make that decision for sure. But
I also like a kind of a soft rule that if someone wins the league next season, they have to sort of be a silly team. Not a official rule. If people don't want to do it, then it's fine. But as a sort of, hey, you're doing well, why not sort of handicap yourself with something a bit different?
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't know if I'm going to win still. You know, I've been in the final twice now. still not happened for me.
You're the bridesmaid of Blood Bowl.
Always the bridesmaid.
I don't want to keep rubbing salt in the wound, but I think you've been in the final for 6 games. Have you won one of them?
One game?
One game in the final.
Yeah, I think you did. Didn't you? This last year?
No, I tied with Thomas and then lost to him and then tied. And then with you and I.
It was lose tie.
Yeah. So no, I don't think I've ever won a final match actually. But in both cases, it's been
in the semi and quarters though.
Pardon?
You've got a perfect record in the semi/quarters though, so.
Yeah, that's true. I mean that last season, I was only in the playoffs, like in the last possible position, and then I just won my way up to the top. But yeah, I think it's just it's the team you're against, and I think there's something about knockout that I don't know. I just play better. I guess I've got because it feels like you've got more to lose. I guess I don't know. But I do think, as I've suggested before, to you, and perhaps others, I do think we should do a league where we use the lower tier teams. Just as an experiment. I would say as well, I played a game of Halflings versus James a while ago now, and I just as a kind of experiment, and they are really terrible. And I kind of, as I was saying to Tom the other day, I was thinking, you know, but should I ever get one win with the Halflings, that would be the most joyous experience. I'd just be like, yes, I beat you, and with Halflings, because obviously they are terrible.
They are the worst team in the game.
I might try and play them a bit like Lachlan played his goblins before.
But I kind of like the idea of having one quote unquote serious league and then one mix up league. So like this one, we've got the double XP. Next season we go back to normal, and then the season after we do something,
Silly
and
thing.
we have some twist. So we limit the teams. We have random upgrades, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm open to that. I don't mind that.
I'm definitely going to miss double XP though.
Yeah, next season's going to be really
Yeah.
weird. Maybe that's it. Maybe in every season future, we're like, cool, we're just going to start off with 4 times XP on everyone and go from there. Like throwing the ball, cool, you get 4 level ups. Well done.
There is something quite nice about having no experience in your team when you start, though, and then kind of building that up. It's just the pace that it drops off at is quite sharp, I feel like. Because I'm feeling it even now with double experience on some of my players. I've got to level 4, and then I'm just kind of feeling a bit of a drop off.
Yeah, I mean, we could always have something where we like, cool, you always level up after 6 XP, and we flatten the curve or something. But everything is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could definitely be done in the table quite easily. Yeah. Should we go back to vampires?
Yeah. I think we've kind of almost said everything we need to about David's team. Like his team is going to cause another couple of upsets. Well, regardless if he wins the game, he's going to do a couple of really crazy plays and do something, and he could very well end up being sort of kingmaker around the end. But I don't envisage him even like competing for a playoff spot at this stage.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
I would say it was fairly implausible.
But if you look at 4th at the moment, it'll be 10 points. So he's got to catch up 7 points with the least reliable team in the league.
So he'll need at least 4 wins.
Yeah, he probably needs close to a perfect second half. And like,
well, he plays me next, so it's a good place to start.
And yeah, like vampires are the sort of team that can cause like orcs, chaos, like bashy teams problems with the way that they can dismantle a cage. But like to be that consistently winning over the second half of the season with that lack of consistent team would be. I mean, if David ends up in 4th, come the playoffs, that is probably the single most impressive feat that anyone's done in the league.
To make such a comeback with such a team.
Yeah. And the amount of points he's behind as well.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Moving on.
Shall we...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
I was going to say, moving on from David, James is currently in 7th. He is a game behind. If he wins, he could go as high as 3rd, albeit he'd need to win by 6 points, 6 touchdowns to actually take 3rd spot on touchdown difference, which would be a very impressive win, especially against last season's winner, Thomas.
Yeah, I mean it's a Skaven v Skaven match, so it has potential to be high scoring, but probably both ways.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Thomas's level ups have been a bit kinder. I mean, some of the stuff that he's put in the chat about his 2 extra movement gutter runners, and
that's not fun.
No, I mean it's a cheat code as it is, like with gutter runners, but yeah, I don't know. It's like, as soon as that happened, I literally killed one of his gutter runners. He apothecaried it, and then he got a level up that game. So I killed one, and it got bloody stronger.
Well, what doesn't kill it makes it stronger.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he's got sprint and +1 movement on one of them. I don't know if he's got that on both, but I'm going to have a look now. But basically, that's a deadly combination. It relies on a lot of rolling, but yeah, 1 turn touchdown every turn.
Yeah, it's match-winningly potent, and like you don't want to play against that team in a knockout game. Just when you could be like, especially if you're again sort of chaos or orcs, when you're trying to play that slow grindy game. They have 1 turn and they just equalize. Because
and they have dodge as standard, don't they? Can you imagine if that gutter runner that's got +1 movement and sprint? Imagine if it got +1 agility as well.
Oh yeah, like they are.
That'd be insane. You'd just be
They're,
able to
they're
run through any group of people.
yeah. Like
But I mean, not
I played Thomas next round, having played him in round 1, and he's a good player with a scary team as it is. So I'm not especially looking forward to that.
Yeah.
well, especially with Parmesan Princess. His Rat Ogre with guard, block, claw, and it comes with Mighty Blow as standard. So
It just goes around taking names.
yeah, it's just making me feel a little bit ill. You know, I've got all this armor, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, when I played in round 1, the Rat Ogre with no upgrades was unbelievable in the first half. A large reason why Tom was able to score and get on top. Second half, he wasn't so good. Ended up probably costing him a touchdown. But to think that unit's got better is very worrying.
So I'm going. I'm looking at James's team now. Obviously, James has decided not to take a Rat Ogre. I think because he wanted to sort of try and play a faster, sort of dodgier team. I like his theme with the not a cat.
I of the 2 Skaven players, I prefer James's starting lineup.
Right.
I'd have definitely gone either the exact same or very similar, and I'd have tried to go into the Rat Ogre later. Essentially what I've done with my Chaos team, albeit it looks like James has had a few casualties and hasn't been able to save up the gold for that. So
Yeah, he's got 3 deaths on his team. I am responsible for one of those. Ratnip and Uncat-like were killed with experience as well.
There seems to be a lot of deaths this season as well. Like a lot. I mean, I have like I've had 1 death in like the previous 2 seasons, and this season I've had 3.
I'm slightly disappointed I didn't kill one of your players in our match.
It's because you're not, you just don't know how to. I don't know what I'm gonna say.
I had a kill every single game until we went against each other. I had game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had a kill in every single one, and then game 7 against you, nothing.
I think I just think you're naturally more elfy than bashy. Take that as you will.
When we came to actually facing off, though, your team has the advantage, I think, as a bashy team against me. Yes, I've got players that can sort of take the hits, but because I have a speed advantage, I think that's just the way I had to play it.
Yeah. You made me buy a troll, but we won't go into that because we're not on our team. So what team are we on?
We're technically on James's still.
Yeah.
James has a 10 movement allowance player as well. So he's got a gutter runner with 10.
What's going on?
Thing is, it just takes what's movement allowance? It's a 10, right? You just have to roll a 10 to get that. So you can get that with a double 5 or a 6 and a 4, a 2 and an 8. So it's quite reasonable.
2 and an 8 on a D6 is quite tough to do.
Sorry, 2 and an 8. I'm just adding up to 10 with anything I like.
It's quite easy. You just do a 2 and an impossible number.
4 and a 6. 5 and a 5 and a 6 and a 4. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. 2 and an 8.
I think we need to start watching Matt's level up rolls and
Nah, it's fine.
And his magic dice.
I'm not rolling D8s.
Although actually there was when slight tangent, when Age of Sigmar got released, they had a lot of sort of fun and weird rules that they got rid of. But there was one like if you could say the name of the spell backwards, you got +1 to cast and things like that.
Right.
And there was a Skaven one where you could roll 2d6, and if you could roll a 13 on the 2d6 without applying any modifiers, you won the game. It's obviously impossible, but if you were able to do it and cheat, and your opponent didn't realize somehow, then voila, you win.
How? How would you do
that?
Is colouring an extra dot on the dice?
I guess
no,
so.
That's actually a 7, I'm afraid. That's a 7 and a 6. That's it. I got 13. But yeah, the fact that he's got 10 movement allowance is not that unreasonable.
No,
because he could have also taken what's it? Armor value. Increased armor value is the same thing, isn't it? Whereas there's only one way of getting strength and agility. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually in the Blood Bowl 2020, the newest edition, and presumably will be in Blood Bowl 3 as well. They've actually capped movement, so you can't do that anymore.
But 10 movement allowance is not
I don't
allowed.
think you can't go beyond a gutter runner speed, and they're what, 9 base.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you
9
can't
is
go
the
beyond-
cap.
I'm so happy. So happy about that.
I'm not happy about that. I think that 10 is actually, as a maximum, 10 is reasonable, because with sprint you can run the whole side of the pitch. I think that makes sense. I think that sort of adds up, because you can't do it without sprint.
No, it's a choice they made. I'm in the camp that I'm happy with that. I wouldn't mind pretty much any 1-turn touchdown disabled, but that's different.
I think next season we should cap all movement to 4.
I'm in strong disagreement.
I'm in strong disagreement.
I'm going to be orcs again.
You
no
have to
one can move
cancel.
forward, no one can go for it.
There is a minimum cap as well, as I discovered last season with my elves. If I had a tree get an injury where his movement was reduced, but it couldn't be reduced any further because he was already on the lowest at that point. So nothing happened.
Yeah.
It just doesn't apply the injury.
I wonder if you meant to re-roll it in that instance, but
I don't know. I just applied it and tried to apply it again, and
I guess there's you could always choose to level him up a movement later, so it does actually have an effect theoretically, even if you end up even if you don't.
Yeah, but I mean, equally with my lizard team, I lost 1 agility on a lizard man, and that's the same thing that happened there. It would have gone down to 0.
No, they start off at 2, don't they, Saurus?
Or maybe it was the Croxagore then.
Yeah.
Someone that was on 1. I think it was the lizard man. Sorry, maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe it was actually not movement allowance, but agility that got lost on my tree man. Anyway, yeah, I don't think you can go lower than 1.
So currently on 6th, although could be overtaken, is Kate with her Lizardman team. 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. Let's see who she beats. So she beat Thomas, I believe, quite early on. In round 2, which has probably got to be Kate's best win. And beat
2-1. Yeah.
Well, just in terms of
it's
player.
I think it's experience, because she went against James in round 1, which is Skaven, and then I guess she kind of thought, oh, Skaven.
She beat David as well in round 5. She drew against me and Lachlan.
The loss that she had to me was a tough one as well. That was very nearly. I mean, I only scored in the last turn of the first half, and then she just didn't manage to score in the second half. That was a close game. It could have been a tie.
Yeah, I just realised I've got very little memory of Kate's name. Probably because I played it in Romania, and like Marina was completely asleep, and I was trying to make as little noise as possible. So I think the only memory I have of it is just fear of waking up and having to stop my game. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
But yeah, she's everyone apart from David is in contention for the playoffs, and like David's still mathematically in, but Kate's got not a lot of upgrades on her Saurus, but she does have a block 5, strength 5 Saurus, who was a nightmare to play against, and a blodging Croxagore.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I remember saying to her when she got the double, I was like, why not take dodge?
Yeah, but
makes it harder to go down.
Yeah, but I don't think I would take dodge on a Croxagore.
So it gives you survivability against being attacked. So if the objective is to hold down players, then if that's your style of play, she could have taken any number of things. I
Yeah,
remember discussing with her, because obviously she's never going to try and dodge away, so she's only ever going to use half of the ability.
It's still a good ability. It's whether you prefer that or something like stand firm or guard or two other things that jump.
Yeah,
to
but she
mind.
always has access to them, doesn't she?
Yeah,
So because she'd rolled the double.
Yeah, I like going dodge when you've got the chance. After block.
So I think she had a dodge twice. Double twice, because the first one was obviously a block, which is not normally accessible to big guys, is it? They don't have general skills. Generally.
If she can get a plus agility next time, she's going to have like the coolest Croxagore. That's
Well, get plus agility, then give it a leap.
That is terrifying. Yeah.
Can you imagine? It would just be amazing to watch.
See the animation for it now.
Yeah, exactly. I keep thinking if I could give one of my flesh golems leap, what they'd look like.
See, the person who animated a leaping Croxagore must have fully well known that barely anyone's ever going to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and along with a load of other things that no one's ever going to give leap. Like a zombie.
Yeah, I want to see a leaping tree bat as well.
Yeah.
But that's a getting off topic again, albeit in a different way.
We could very easily just make a team.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping us. Yeah.
I'll give him leap and him. I'll give everybody leap. I'll be like the Kislev Circus, but with orcs. Leaping troll.
That's a lot of self-made injuries, right?
Everyone will have +2 agility. It's all right.
Okay.
Can you imagine the team value?
I don't think it would be that ridiculous, but it's not a route I would choose to go down.
A leaping orc team.
Yes. I think I'd be much more conventional, we'll say.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm already quite happy with my upgrades as they are. So screw it. Next upgrade, leap on everyone. just want to put it out there. I'm not doing that.
I'd be very impressed if you did.
I would be as well. You would win lots of moral support.
Yeah, you'd have to invest in some more rerolls, though, I think.
Yeah, especially as by the time we ended up playing, you wouldn't have got your full leaping orc team in effect.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I've
already got an agility dodge blitzer. I think I tell you what, like if I get another double on him, I'll give him leap. There we go.
Well, this is your crazy orc I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kept running away like an elf. So speaking of running away, Kate's skinks all have sidestep.
Sidestep is an upgrade that I always underrate.
Yeah, it's good.
When people play against me, I'm like, oh, that's really annoying.
I'd say like the one defense, like I would definitely. There's nothing wrong with doing sidestep. It's just I thought the defensively like the most useful thing you can put on a skink is a diving tackle. It's so useful, especially against elves or well, obviously like any agility team. It was just came in handy so often.
It certainly worked against me in an annoying way. That definitely made a difference. But I don't think there are that many kind of agility teams in this league, particularly. It's obviously the two Skaven ones, and then there's like an element in the Lizardman team. But I think that's it.
Yeah, you could make the argument for a couple of teams, but there's no agility sort of 1 to 15, as it were.
Well, I've got tackle on a couple of players for the reason that I might need it, but it's never once come in handy at this point.
Going from Lizards, we come back to Thomas's Skaven team, currently in 5th, but again with a game to play. 1-3, lost 3, no draws. And could go up to second with a win.
I think, I mean, because of the two, like I said earlier, with the upgrades to Thomas's, I imagine he'll probably will. Saying that, James beat me quite easily, so I don't know.
They have very different playing styles, the two
Yes.
of them.
And I like that. Really like that.
I should actually say, before we go off James completely, just go back 2 people. I have a confession to make that when I played James, I forgot to change the turn timer, so we were playing on 2-minute turns, and about 90% of the reason I won that game was because James ran out of time on one of his turns and had his ball carrier left in the open. So I was apologetic at the time, but I'm very sorry, James. I didn't mean to win like that. But yes, back to Thomas versus Skaven. He's on a nice, scored 8, conceded 8 as well. So he's perfectly mirrored. He's the Thanos of the league.
I think it's been a bit of a shock for him this season. You know, with his first season being, you know,
Very strong.
two dicing everything. It must be quite a change to go to.
Definitely
to
a completely different game for him. Yeah.
But he's still not doing badly. I mean, the fact that he can go second.
I said second, but actually looking at it, it'd be third. So he'd be behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he could overtake the people in third and fourth at the moment. And yeah, he remains a good player. He went 2-0 up against me, which was really annoying. I couldn't come back from fully.
I think the one of the big differences, at least from my game with him, it seemed to be, from my perspective, was that he, I guess, when he was the Lizardman, he wasn't used to, I guess, rolling so many dice. You know what I mean? It feels like there's a lot more risk involved in playing a Skaven team. And although he did have an opportunity to do a 1-turn touchdown against me on turn 8, I just scored, and then he had 1 turn, and he had that, you know, sprint movement 10, but he fell over on the going for it twice, and that was it. It was over. Which is one of those things where when you're watching, you're sort of like, you kind of want it to happen because you're like, this would be so cool to just see him run. I mean, I may be on my own in this because based on both of you saying that you were happy about it going down to movement 9 as a cap, but I think it's pretty cool that he has a player that can do that, and it'd be cool to see it happen. I don't know if it has happened at all, but it'd be really funny. I'm kind of interested to watch the Skaven v Skaven game just to see if it is like 1-turn touchdown, 1-turn touchdown, 1-turn, and it'll just be a case of luck at the end.
Or it just ends up like 12-12 at the end of the game.
Yeah. I think it might be worth watching, because if it does end up 12-12, we do need to make sure that there hasn't been some sort of collusion going on.
Well, just so they get a ridiculous amount of experience. Yeah. Right, someone better watch that game.
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, can you imagine their gutter runners after a match like that? Just like level 7 gutter runners.
Strength 6 or something. Like.
Yeah.
That does sound hilarious and terrifying.
But we'd always get wizards going up against them after that. Their team value would be way over us.
Can we cut that bit out of the edit, just so we don't give them the idea?
We'll release it after their game's played.
Yeah, I mean, also I hope to be able to watch it. I don't know what time they're playing, but I just think it'd be quite a good game to see. Skaven v Skaven.
So going up, so currently in the bottom playoff spot, on 4th is Lachlan's Kislev team. With 10 points, 2 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. The hardest team to beat, but not actually one of the lowest win rates. And just
he's
currently got my vote for most annoying team to play.
Oh, easily. So irritating. I didn't think there could be something more irritating than elves or Skaven, but just the suicide bombers jumping into your cage constantly. Yeah. I swore a lot during our game.
So for my game against Lachlan, it was like the first game that I'd played with Necromantic, and I don't feel like I was entirely ready if you know what I mean. And I think, from memory, I think Lachlan scored first, and then I managed to equalise later. But looking at Lachlan, it's like the first 1, 2, 3 games were all ties that he had. He didn't have a single win, but he also didn't have a single loss. And then, what were the next 2 results there? So he had the loss against Thomas, but only by 1. That was a high-scoring game. 5 touchdowns in total. 3 to Thomas, 2 to Lachlan. And then he beat you, Euan. How did you feel about that?
Oh, I was just. It was frustrating because I kept on being like, he's got to roll a lot of dice for him to succeed on this thing here. And he'd do it, and he'd do it, and he'd do it, and he'd do it, and he'd do it. And then at the end of the turn, I'm like, you didn't even use a re-roll. It's like, yep. Like, how many dice did you roll? All of them. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean,
waiting for the team to come apart at some point, and it just doesn't. It's just,
Sibling rivalry matches are the best, I think. It's hearing about the outcome afterwards, like, oh dear.
But yeah, and what's scary is that Lachlan's he might end up after the game being in 5th position, but his team is in like a really good spot, and I think it's only going to get better. So he's in a like it's really hard to say who won't get the playoff spot, but Lachlan I think's in a very, very strong position.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing against this tame bear. I haven't seen a tame bear in a game yet.
No, me neither. Because he didn't have him originally. I've got him next. He's my next game, and I haven't really made my mind up about how to play it yet.
And then above Lachlan by 1 more touchdown is me. And ironically, I've got the same number of points as Lachlan with a very sort of different thing. I've gone 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. So Lachlan is unbeatable but struggles to win, and I struggle to draw apparently.
Well, I mean, looking at your team, I mean, is it 2 players without block? You can do a whole 11 with block, so that's going to be pretty gross. Just diarrhea. And 2 bear kilos. They are good names, I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean, you're Euan. In general, you're very difficult to play against.
You're just a good player.
Hasn't quite clicked this season. It's been a little frustrating. It's had moments of being really good.
You managed to pull out a win against me, and I don't know how still that happened.
Yeah. What's annoying is like I pulled out a win against you, as you said, where I probably shouldn't have. And then I feel I've kept pulling out losses from draws that I wasn't last season. And it's just been like, I don't know what I'm doing differently, or if people got better, but
yeah, I don't think I deserve to win my game. I don't think I deserve to lose it, but I think a draw would have been fair. Yeah. But I'll take the win. I think that's my first win against you. So I take it all back. It was all complete on skill, and it's completely fair. Well done, me.
That's a good point. I don't know. Have I ever beaten you, Euan? I must have beaten you at one point, surely. I need to look now.
I beat you and I drew against you in the first season.
Just in any matches ever.
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness.
I think we've had quite a few draws that have been in your favour.
It's just you seem to be the antithesis of my playing style for whatever reason that is.
Yeah, it's funny you get sort of player matchup like that.
I'm just looking now.
The loss against you, Tom, to be fair, has been a long time coming. Like the two Lizardman games last season, like I played about as well as I could, and I was delighted to get a draw. So I think this season, the fact that you've beaten me, it's just been like time coming.
Okay, well, thanks.
You keep having these close matches, and eventually it's going to work out. Story of blood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I've never ever beaten you, Euan. Not once. Not in a single match.
Well, hopefully it stays that way.
I can't believe that. I never even thought about whether or not I'd beaten someone before like this. I've literally never, ever beaten you, ever. I've literally gone back through Season 3 and Season 2. I've looked at all our matches, and I've never even won one. I'm pretty sure I didn't win one in Season 1.
No, I won the first and we drew the second.
Yeah, I've had draws against you.
Yeah,
but
to be fair,
I've
there'd
never...
been one more turn in our first game. Your Gusser runner would have scored, and
oh, right. I don't really even remember it.
well,
round 3, you beat me 4-1 in that first half of the season.
I'll take that if you want to call that as our result for our next game.
No, thank you. I mean, I'm much more experienced now. That was in Season 1.
Yes, you're a lot better player, sadly.
I can't believe I've never beaten you, though. I've never won once.
You're
I've never
starting
won
to-
once against Euan.
Starting to sound a bit arrogant now. I
No,
can't
but
believe
you'd
haven't
expect,
been.
you'd expect, yeah, no, what I mean, it's kudos to you, and it's not arrogant about me. You'd expect after a number of games, it would go my way at least once. That's just a statistical likelihood, right? I can't believe it. Okay, all right. Well,
I mean, like the sample size is still relatively small, especially if you discount like Season 1 as a learning season for you, which it was.
Yeah, I suppose. So we
Yeah,
played.
if we're here in Season 7 and we're still saying the same thing, then sure, we can get back to it.
I mean, we've played at least 8 matches that we could count as, excluding Season 1 then, because we played 3 for the final, plus, 4 in the last 2 seasons just as standard. And then I think we played each other.
I think if you exclude like Season 1, like I think I've beaten you twice. So when you think of it like that, it's actually not that mad, because most of the games have ended up as draws. Because I beat you once. Oh, I guess it's 3-0. I'm pretty sure I beat you once in the regular season in Season 2, and once in the final, and once in Season 3, the first time we played, and the others have been draws.
All right.
And,
Well,
the draws have been in your favour, like the
your team is much.
Holding off at the end.
Yeah, your team is much stronger now as well, though. So I'm not holding out hope.
But yeah, another person that's in the, I think it's fair to say, in the playoff contention, but there's going to be like one name that we're not expecting to is going to not make the playoffs, and I don't know who it's going to be yet.
You want to take a bet?
Oh, you're going to take a bet?
Well, you can make a guess as to who we think will probably be out at the bottom.
Should we leave the predictions for?
Sure. All right. We'll leave them for the end.
Predictions.
Okay.
So after currently third, we go to second with 7 played, 14 wins, 4 wins, 2 draws, and a loss, and a touchdown difference of 3 positive is Tom.
I like to think of it as joint top.
Yeah,
You'd like to, but touchdown difference has made a difference on the playoff meetings before. So.
Thanks to James beating you, because otherwise I'd still be behind you.
Yeah.
Thank you, James, for that.
Yeah, thank you, James, for that.
It's actually kind of interesting because it's hard not to speak about 2 and 1 at the same time, given that A is both of you two, and actually like Matt started quite slow, and Tom started really quickly in terms of wins, and they kind of swapped slightly and ended up in the same position.
Yeah, I was very annoyed about how slowly I started.
And yeah, I mean, Matt should have beaten me in our game.
Yeah, this is what I mean. I can't do it.
But it's funny because looking back on that, you just like the red mist came down upon you in the second half, and you're like, I'm not playing this ball. I'm just killing all your players. Ran out of rerolls, killing all my players. Sort of accidentally scored with the flesh golem, which is a really impressive thing to do.
Did I?
Yeah, because I kept on running back with my beastman. Your flesh golem chased him down. I tried to dodge away. The ball went loose and went to your flesh golem, who was 2 squares off the touchline of the stage, and he just walked over.
Okay, right. I don't remember. I just remember that last bit at the end where we were equal and there were 2 turns left, and you managed to get a 2-turn touchdown with that one, whatever they're called, the guys with the armor. Yeah.
Eastman. Yeah, I'm like, I've got to get the ball there, and then if you completely fail, I've got double going for it to go.
And I could have. Yeah, you were on the edge of the pitch. You were on the edge of the pitch with my guy standing next to you and everything.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just run down the field and score. I was.
And you did. You just like dodged away. Just like la la la.
If one thing I'd got wrong at any point, I wouldn't have. But
yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. But yeah, we are talking about Tom's team technically still, who rather scarily for me bludgeoned my team in the muscle off.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening again. I'm still waiting for when you start getting claw. I'm assuming that's your next thing.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have it, and I'm not gonna
give it away.
Get it? No, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to suddenly get enough claw by the time that I play you.
Do you need to get doubles for that?
I don't believe so, but it's very dependent. Like I am want to getting some claw, but I want to also get some like tackle and some other crazy mutation stuff. So it very much depends on who gets it. Because claw is very good against you, but it's pretty naff against actually a lot of the rest of the field. So it's not as high a priority as some of the other things.
Sure. Oh, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, about the game that I lost against James. I mean, we were talking about, the limiting to 9 movement and things like that. It was just like defending is my thing. That's what I feel like I'm quite good at in this game, and I felt like I did everything right against James, and he just walked into my cage, dodged in, got a kicked the ball out of my hand, and then picked it up with the same blitz, and then just ran away, and that was it. There was what are you supposed to do against that? Maybe that's me being a bad loser, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it.
To be fair, Tom, it's so hard to stop your cage with muscle that you've kind of got to rely on sort of janky bullshit to stop it. Which is why Lachlan's going to be in a very good spot against you compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
And actually, David of all people, but
yeah, that's true. With his vampire on the corner.
So it's going to be a tricky next 2 games for me, seeing as it's David and Lachlan.
But yeah, I put you as favourite certainly for the David game still. But it's one of the things that I'm not sure who I want to play if I got to a knockout game, but I really wouldn't want to play David's vampires. Because they could just stop the team and do crazy stuff. But yeah, we kind of knew going into this that Tom was going to have the most brutal team and probably end up with the best defense, and it's pretty much proven that. Not entirely. Matt's got the best defense so far, but
I've noticed where there's a bit of a pattern in the sort of round 1, 2, 3, 4. Generally, if I play someone, Tom's then playing them next, so it's kind of like a double round of a bit of beating up, because I've just something I've noticed. Like with because I think Thomas was saying this, he's got a similar situation with James where someone plays against James and then they end up playing against Thomas the next round. It's only for the first couple and then it shuffles around again. But it's just kind of an interesting thing I hadn't noticed before. I don't know if it's just this season or if it's happened before. But if you're going against me and then Tom, it's kind of like double bashing, especially if you're like Lachlan, for instance. Let's say I don't know how good his bear's going to be, but you'll have him in round 9 after, let's say, I kill a player. I'm hoping I kill a player. That's been my goal: kill a player every match. But yeah, you can come worse for wear, I guess, and then you've got to face orcs after, which is not a nice thing for anybody.
Yeah,
Oh, have you been? Are you saying you're softening up the
I am.
teams?
Yeah, I'm
What-
softening them up for you.
I mean, to be fair, I was missing I think I was missing a player against Tom when I played because I played Matt first, and then I was missing a player
I did.
the game
Yeah, I
after
did
because I
kill.
played Tom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
there have been a lot of deaths.
It is. That's not saying why I lost, but it certainly wasn't ideal. Yeah,
It shouldn't.
my first 3 games in the second half of the season are you 2 and Thomas, which is a really horrible start to a season. And then,
I'm kind of dreading playing you though, Euan. I always do. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe I shouldn't dread it. Maybe I just look
Yeah.
forward to it. Be like, yeah, I'm going to win this one. This is going to be the first win against Euan. No, that's never happened.
It's starting to sound desperate, Matt. I'm
Yeah.
getting worried for you. But speaking of,
Yeah.
again topping the table at the halfway stage, again with the best touchdown difference. Well, this time with a more due to having the best defense than top tries, but still up
Yeah, I'm
there.
gutted about that.
I'm not sure if you sound more sore that you're behind Matt or that you've let in more touchdowns than him.
Oh, it's definitely the second one.
Okay, just clarifying that. We've
Only
got
2
Matt at
more.
the top again with 14 points as well, 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss.
Which is the same as Tom.
Yeah. But it's the fact that you've killed more people as well. That really upsets me.
Yeah, I've let in less and I've killed more people. I still haven't. I'll have to kill 2 orcs in our next game, Tom. So in round 14.
It's not gonna happen. I mean, I'm gonna get piling on my whole team.
It worked.
We'll all be lying down, and we'll concede a lot of goals. But you know.
So, Euan, you might remember when we played, you got a successful kill on one of my werewolves, and then they were resurrected. So they were fine.
that was a big moment in the match.
Well, Tom, he managed to get a kill on a werewolf, but he did not resurrect. So now Anna and Christoph can be no more. Anna is now sad and lonely. So my new werewolf is called Elsa. So now we've got Anna and Elsa. But hopefully they don't die again.
Yeah, it's a good tip. If your players don't die, it's well, I guess all your players have technically died once, but
Well, yeah,
died once in your employment.
The final death, not the undeath. Yeah, but I mean, Elsa has no experience, and annoyingly, this was a werewolf where everyone's like, yeah, blodge on werewolves because it helps them survive. But I think I got a double with Christoph. And so I gave him Mighty Blow, so he had Claw's Mighty Blow. But after that, he just didn't injure anybody. Anytime I hit anyone, he just had no luck. And then eventually just died. And he had no block, no dodge. Werewolves feel like they should have dodge. There's something about them that sort of feels like they should have it.
I mean, they've got enough of other things.
Yeah,
they are good. I'm not complaining about them. I'm just saying they sort of feel like I should be giving them dodge. Depends how I play with them, I guess. I sort of have one that's kind of a ball carrier and one that's was one that was sort of meant to be there for beating people up, but it didn't really do anything.
And now he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
He got jumped on.
That's the first. This is actually, for me, a really good record. I've not had a death until the last game of the first half of the season. Because normally by now I'd had at least 5 deaths.
I remember, like, at the end of last
previous seasons.
Yeah, like I don't know, halfway between, just always had so many deaths, and I was rooting for you to this season be really well, and then I caused the death.
Well, yeah, I mean, these things happen. I mean, it's a 50-50 that they get back up after death, and it's so far worked out as 50-50 across the games. So, there you go.
Do we do some predictions then?
Yeah.
Matt, you had something you wanted to kind of predict that I cut you off from before?
Did I?
Who's going to drop?
with-
Who's going to drop out of the top 4? Was that
Okay.
it?
Who's not going to make it into the top 4?
We'll do round 8, 9, 10, and then we can do final positions from there, I guess.
All right.
Okay.
So round 8, we've got Matt versus Lachlan. Again, Matt, you don't have to commentate on your own game. This was 1-1 last time they played.
I can tell you what I think it'll be if you like.
I think this will be a draw.
I don't know. I really want to say that Matt's not going to win it. But I think I really liked playing Matt's team because it's just such an interesting team. I think Necromantic's they've got a bit of everything.
I love playing as Necromantic. They're a really fun team to play.
Yeah. I think Lachlan will maybe get too many injuries, and I think Matt will win it.
I would like to think I'd win it, but I think it will be a tie just because of last time. Although that said, I did mention that I have tackle now on a couple of players, so maybe that'll count for something.
So second game in round 8, we've got Thomas versus me. Thomas won 2-1 last time you played.
I just want to have a quick look at your team, Euan.
It
That's
doesn't
scary
have
as
tackle to
normal.
match the Skaven.
That's true. You've got all the block though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go for, just because your whole team is it's not slow, but it's mediocre when it comes to pace. I can see him winning it. I don't like to.
I'm gonna have to agree, and I think the reason is more for the fact that you've got, obviously Beastmen have that charge ability, which gives them the extra strength. But where the gutter runners are concerned, it doesn't make too much of a difference because they're already quite weak. And I think that's what it's going to come down to.
If you had a bit of tackle, I think I'd go for you again, Euan. But I never want to bet against Euan. It's a bad bet to go against. But just purely looking at team versus team, I'd probably go for Thomas.
I think it depends also on who starts with the ball in the first half, because I think if Euan has the ball in the first half and holds on to it, Euan's good at holding the ball and just walking it up there slowly, which you're good at as well, Tom. So I think that if that happens and he can sort of waste Thomas's time, then Euan has a chance. But
if
all it takes is for one mistake.
He's got the one-turn touchdown to
that's true.
do that.
But and anytime if you make even one mistake, the Skaven can capitalize on it, and I think that's where the advantage is with the Skaven. It's opportunistic, isn't it?
Like rats, yeah. They're just disgusting.
So we have James versus Kate. Last time it was 3-1 to James. Loser of this becomes in quite an awkward position to see if they can make the playoffs from there. They don't get knocked out of it or anything at that stage, but it does start to look a bit uphill for whichever player loses that.
I found that Lizards struggle against real agility teams. Like, I found it very difficult to play against them. Maybe that's just my weakness in general. You know, I lost to James this season as Orcs, and I thought it was just because agility teams could get to my skinks very easily because they could just run around me. But I'm still having problems against agility teams. So
I think Kate stands. Oh, that's all right. I think I might be lagging slightly. I think Kate stands a chance. I think with the Sauruses, they actually have quite a high speed for such large, strong players.
Yes.
And I think that against rats, that doesn't disadvantage them. I think that they're able to be where they need to be. The problem I think that Kate might end up facing is the blitzers start with block, and I don't know how many players Kate has with block out of the Sauruses, but that is always a bit of a... Oh, actually, there are quite a few. There's 1, 2, 3, there are 4 with block. So, yeah, maybe not. Maybe that's not even going to be an issue. That, for me, was always an issue when I played Lizardman, was not having enough block.
I'm gonna say a draw. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I'm gonna go for like a 2-2 or something.
I'm gonna vote James because Kate has one of the Saurus missing the game.
Oh, is she?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no one told me that.
And it's one with block.
Yeah, so I think that does just edge it slightly in James's favour.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then we have Tom versus David. Like we spoke that David has the chance to upset Tom's cage, but Tom is just going to beat the living shit out of him. So I think this is either a game that David wins like 3-0, or every other game Tom wins like 1-0, 2-0 very comfortably. So yeah, I think Tom goes in as quite a strong favourite.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. David could get lucky, like you say, but I think when I say get lucky, he's a good player. What I mean by that is not get unlucky. Because that's what it is. That's what it is with a vampire team, isn't it? It's just don't get unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, thralls are so delightfully squishy, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're a lot of fun.
they're armor 7.
Yeah,
they're an armor 7 human.
They're literally edible.
It's against some teams. It's a question of, are the vampires going to do more damage to the own team than the opposing team? And like the rate of attrition with Tom's orcs in particular is going to be horrendous. So yeah, this is like David can pull some tricks, but yeah, Tom goes in as very heavy favourite, in my view. Round 9, a game that 2 of us can't talk about, is Matt versus me. Last time it was 2-1 to me, as we mentioned. Tom,
we don't even need to go to like team lineup or anything. I'm just gonna go with the stats of Matt never winning. So I am going for Euan to win.
I'm going for me. I'm gonna win one for once.
Well, maybe I'll just go Matt won't win. So it might be a draw. It might be a draw, but I just don't see Euan losing to Matt. Just because Matt's a bad player. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm joking. I already said early in the thing that I think he's a better player than I am. So yeah, no, I think Euan will win it.
I'll take a win. We've got Thomas versus Kate. Kate won this 2-1 last time, which is a little bit of an upset, I think. I think Thomas will come back strongly with a win here.
I think with James, I think it's the same sort of thing. I think where the Saurus have speed, it's possible for Kate to win it.
Yeah, but Claw Mighty Blow against lizards, that's going to cause some horrible shit.
Oh, is that on the rat
ogre?
Yeah.
If Kate can deal, like, just get that rat ogre knocked down, then she'll be fine.
That is scary, isn't it? I hadn't thought about that clause, because that eats into Kate's team.
Yeah, and that's a lot of gold in the bin if he kills someone. I just because of the claw and the mighty blow, and that is a massive rat ogre with. Yeah, I've got to go for Thomas.
It's got block as well. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
What
else has he got on the?
Horrific.
What's the downside to the rat ogre again? It's wild animal, isn't it?
Yes.
It's got
which is my favourite. my favorite type of downside is that you have to
The one
do
where
a
you have to keep punching.
yeah, exactly. It's what I'd be doing anyway.
And well, does it just become a 1 in 6 that you do nothing when you're attacking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What was your prediction then, Matt? Sorry.
I would probably say that it has a chance to go either way. I would like to abstain from. I think I'm saying basically what I said with James versus Kate. It's the same sort of thing. I think, although actually, like you say, with the rat ogre, it depends if she can handle it, or if she can just distract. Like just leave one source that she doesn't care about or whatever next to it and just hold it up or whatever. Although, can it run away? It wouldn't want to, really, would it? It just wants to attack. Probably, I think probably Thomas does have an edge, but I'm not. I wouldn't count Kate out. I'm going to go tie for it.
Cool.
Kate just needs to get if Kate had a killer skink, like a dauntless skink, I would go for Kate all day, but she doesn't.
Yeah,
So
but against gutter runners, they're the same sort of strength. So essentially, they are, potential killers.
that's actually quite a good point. You can kind
All
of
it takes
keep up.
is
One of the few teams that can keep up with the gutter runners, kind of. Yeah, but like I said, I still think Thomas will have enough.
So James versus David.
I think it'll go the other way. I think James will win this one.
I think, yeah, as impressive as David was the first time around, I think James will come back strongly here.
Yeah, I think that because it was a round 2 game, and I think there's a bit of a learning experience with how the vampires work, etc. For James, I expect he'll probably come in with more sort of an idea of how to avoid David's tactics. I think that's essentially the only edge you need, where again David could just become unlucky and then lose it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go for a draw again. It's just with like both teams. It's so it. Yeah, I'll just go for a draw. There we go.
And then we've got Tom against Lachlan.
Can I actually vote on this one? Because
Yeah.
Because I think Lachlan will win this one. I don't think
I think Lachlan goes in as favourite. I'm not convinced he'll win it, but I think very strongly he won't lose. And I think Lachlan's going to edge this one.
I hated it.
He might not have much of a team, but I think he might edge it.
Oh yeah, like as long as I've taken something down. If I've taken down the bear, I'll be very happy. That might be my aim. Take down the bear. Yeah, but I think I'm losing this one.
I'm not sure. I think a bit like with you and Tom, the match in round 8 we were talking about earlier, Euan versus Thomas, where I said if you start with the ball and you can like build that cage, I think Tom, you still have a chance when you have that cage. Yes, I know that obviously Lachlan's guys can just jump in. Maybe if you, what have you got?
I've got blodge now as well. That will help on my ball carrier.
On the ball carrier, yeah. You could also, I suppose, try and build a looser cage so that because can you leap twice in a turn? You can't.
No.
Well,
so you could try and build a. Oh yeah. That's what I meant with the same player. I suppose you could try and build like a double cage, if you will. Although I don't know how many orcs that would take.
How many orcs do I need? Because they've all got leap. That's the problem.
Yeah, it is. That was
it's
kind of
knocking
my
it
plan
free
going
and
into
then
the game,
jumping
but
in.
The theory of doing that and the reality of doing that while also being like, cool, he's tagging people, I want to move up. It's easier said than done. Especially if you ever need to start forcing the pace.
I guess there are sort of 2 ways that Tom can try and play the match, which is if he starts with the ball, be the aggressor, ignore the ball essentially, and just try and take out as many of Lachlan's players as he can, or hold on to the ball and play extraordinarily defensively whilst then hitting anyone that comes near.
Yeah.
So round 10, we have Matt versus Kate. Last time this was 1-0 to Matt. I think again Matt goes into this as
This was
favourites. I think Necromantic have got really good tools for dealing with Lizardman.
Yeah, and I am coming off the back at that point of a game of Kate versus Thomas with that Rat Ogre with Claw, so that could work to my advantage.
I think Skinks versus a strength 4. What's it called? What's the
Flesh Golem.
No, not Flesh Golem. The agility one. What is it?
Golem.
Is it a golem?
Yeah.
Golem and a Flesh Golem?
No, a ghoul. Sorry.
A ghoul. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that strength 4 ghoul is gonna. If Kate does manage to get past, the main bulk of your team, I think the fact that you've got a strength 4 ghoul will be able to easily handle like a skink or two.
Yeah,
your two werewolves. Yeah, no, she hasn't got a chance of escaping, like just running away with it. Like
no, yeah, because I've got a portion of the team that's quick and a portion that's sort of slow. Yeah.
Yeah, I love your team. I genuinely do.
They love you too.
Thomas versus David in round 10. This was 2-0 to Thomas in round 3. I'm going to vote David for this one. I don't know why, especially having just said that I thought James is going to beat David with his Skaven. I feel like this is just going to be the round where David pulls it out the bag.
Well, I think the thing is as well, Thomas is definitely quite an aggressive Skaven player. Like, as far as I don't know if that's coming off the back of his playing Lizardmen, but from my experience of playing with him, he definitely put his players in there and got involved in the fight. And it wasn't an easy fight. He wasn't making it easy. He was tough to fight. But then, of course, it's like at that point it's attrition. So if he does do that against David, and it's just the thralls, and the thralls are going down, then I don't think he'll have any problems really. But equally, I think he can run. How fast are a thrall? How fast are 6? Okay. Was that like the standard?
I mean, Skaven have more speed, a higher strength player, and more agility. I think most of the time, I think that Thomas goes in as favourite, but I don't know. So for some reason, I think David's going to win this one. He's going to just pull it out. It's going to be the game where everything clicks, no one runs off the pitch, and everyone in the Skaven team gets hypnotised.
All I know is my gut says maybe. Yeah, no, I think Thomas.
David's got like the best way of dealing with the Rat Ogre, though. The fact that they can just hypnotise it.
Yeah.
If you've got like 2 vampires near it, you've got 2 chances to hypnotise it, so it just does nothing. I think that's pretty great. But yeah, I still think Thomas will win.
Yeah, but it's only on that turn though, isn't it? Like when it comes to his round, he can just activate the player and attack. It doesn't like stop them for the next turn. It's not like a stun. It just stops their defensive sort of zone during his turn. So it's only if they're in the way, really. It doesn't stop it from being any more or less powerful. Has it got prehensile tail?
Oh yeah, because he can still attack, can't he?
I think he's got the tail, yes.
Yeah, so it does stop prehensile tail, which is good. That is a good thing. That definitely takes away from an ability that the Rat Ogre has.
Yeah.
Then we've got James versus Lachlan.
I'm going for Lachlan again. I just think like Lachlan in the last few games is just going to be atrocious.
Yeah, I think Lachlan's going to... Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, that's it. No, don't worry. No, I think as soon as... I should have said that's it.
I'm finished. You want to say more?
I think like if he's got guard, if he gets a couple of guard that's leaping in and then can leap someone else in, I think that's going to catch most teams out. So you've got to carry on.
I agree with what you've said completely, but I think the way Skaven play, they can run around to an extent that makes that really hard for them to do.
Right.
So I think Lachlan for probably almost the rest of his games of the season probably goes in his favourite. But that particular one, I think James is going to go in as as favourite. So I think I'm going to call James to win that one.
I think it depends. I think I agree with what you've both just said again, but I would say it also depends on how James levels his team up as he goes, because he's still got to get there. He's got 2 games, obviously, that we've talked about, and then the one from round 7, which he's playing tomorrow. And he himself could end up with leap players. He could have leap gutter runners. And if he's got a high agility leap gutter runner, then he's got the potential to sort of almost exactly match what Lachlan's doing.
Don't really want to think about that. Also, but I will be trying my best to leave James with basically no team to play against. I'm doing it for you, James.
And finally, we've got Tom versus me. So, Matt, all yours.
All mine. Excellent. I don't know really with this one. Okay, so Tom will probably try and kill all your players. At this point, your team's quite strong anyway. So by this point, you're probably even stronger. So you'll probably try and kill all his players. I think it'll be a big bloodbath. It'll probably end up being 1-0 to one of you.
Yes.
I'm gonna err on the side of caution and say Tom.
Ooh.
Yeah,
For
I
a
think
for a second win.
Tom,
Against you.
I think, has more. Does have more muscle. And I have this slight agility edge, but I think given it's going to be a muscle off, it probably comes down realistically to like who gets a lucky injury roll first.
And a portion of your muscles in horns as well, which is obviously only in your blitz.
This says a lot about me, but I would love if it was a 0-0. Just.
To be honest, Tom, I'd probably rather it was like 1-1 or something, but I would take a draw of that. Yeah. Maybe we say neither of us can play that one, and
if it ends up like, yeah, I'd love if it was. It ends up with just one player left on each team.
I mean, we could always start the match, press end, turn 16 times in a row, and be like, "Yep, cool, okay, mate.
See you later."
Yeah. No injuries.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Not enough XP there for me though.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a
we'll hire a player each for that match. That will just be like, cool. You can surround them with all your players, and I'll do the same.
And jump on them, yeah. Okay, this is cool. That's what we're gonna do.
This is not cool. I will be watching.
At least
we'll get a Black Hawk throwing to a Chaos Warrior back and forth again.
I'm really glad again that you can edit this, and just make Matt seems like a hugely paranoid person.
I'm really worried that you are going to set up your game in a way that means I will lose. Oh, you'll edit me like that or something. I was going to jump just back to James and Lachlan's game that we were just talking about as well. Just to say, I think that the ball will probably be on the ground for a lot of that game. It'll just be knocked constantly out of whoever's holding its hands. Whereas for your game, I think it will be held most of the time by one person on either team, who may or may not drop it a couple of times, but it will just be a bunch of fighting around the ball carrier.
Yeah, I think that's a very realistic portrayal of each game.
I like the idea that those games will be happening sort of simultaneously in 2 different stadiums, and it's just a very different experience.
I mean, we could try and get the games happening at the same time. I don't.
Doesn't. Oh yeah, I'm not saying it has to. I'm just imagining it.
That's a shame. We normally have our round 7 game as everyone does it at the same time, and we didn't organise that this time.
Well, we can do it as round 8 if you want. But it's always hard, isn't it? It's just hard to get it all sorted.
Well, let's have a chat off cast and see if there's a round we can do it before round 14 as well. Because those are always good fun. Especially as theoretically we don't have anyone with buys this season.
Yes, actually, that's a good point. No one's stepped out
yet. Who knows? Maybe I'll lose my next 3 games and stop this game.
I mean, who would you say is the most likely player to step out at this point? Because I don't think David would. I don't think David would do that.
No, it's weirdly, as I was sort of joking, it's probably like one of the three of us losing like 4 or 5 games in a row, just be like, sod this, I can't be asked. I need a break. Come back next season.
I don't know. I think even if that happened to me, I definitely wouldn't be like, no, that's it, I'm done. I'd just be like permanently frustrated or angry and stay and live in.
No, I think I'd do the same. But it's one of those things where like that plus like, oh, I need to go on a work trip or something, and I'm away for a little while. I might be like, okay, I'll drop out the last 2 rounds or something. I can see that as like a possibility rather than a prediction.
Genuine. There's been a couple of games where, like, straight after game, I get so annoyed that I'm just like, I'm never playing again. Just like the one against James, that particularly, I was definitely like that afterwards. I was like, it's a stupid game. It makes no sense. You can't even defend. Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, no, I'll be here until the end.
There are some games though where it is a bit like that. When you're just sort of like, I can't believe how unlucky I'm being right now. This is ridiculous. What is going on?
Yeah.
Is there anything else anyone wants to mention at this point?
Were we going to say who we predicted for?
Yeah. I will. I did mine in the last one, so I think I'll keep to my prediction, which I think very quickly from top to bottom was David, Kate, James, me, Thomas. No, me, Lachlan, Thomas. I can't remember which of you I had first and second. I think I had Thomas first. No, I think
yeah, you did. I think you did. I think you said Matt, Tom, because I was second position in the last season.
I definitely went back and forth on that a little bit, though.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and eventually you put me in second. I think saying that the same thing from last season would happen again.
I remember I said you weren't going to win the final.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to win the final. Just gonna be there. Just gonna be present again.
To the pair of you two.
Okay. So what we go from 8th first?
Yeah, should we do our 8ths together at the same time? In fact, we'll say it at the exact same moment. 3, 2, 1. David.
David.
Oh, what a surprise! The pair of Grandpas is going to be bottom.
Yeah, sorry.
I'd like to vote something else, but
yeah, at this stage as well.
It's no reflection on his playing ability. That's the thing. It's like we know next season he's going to be, well, assuming he's playing something remotely.
He's playing halflings next season.
We all are.
Yeah, halfling season.
That sounds like a great idea, but so boring so quickly.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
I think like a halfling knockout cup or something would be better. So it's like 3 or 4 games rather than 14 weeks of halfling.
Yeah, like over 3 months.
Yeah, Andy and Ross back in. We'll have the full. Get a couple of others in. Sorry, 7th place then.
It's just like everyone's good now. Like it's not like you look at the thing and you go, okay, that's actually a bad player. Like anyone could beat anyone. I don't know, Matt.
I think
Matt's 7th.
I think let's assume
Matt's not going to win another game. And I'm not going to let him talk for the rest of the
game. Oh, you're putting me in 7th. Okay.
No,
I thought when you said Matt, you were asking me to talk. That's why I started talking. I thought you were saying Matt, over to you, rather than Matt in 7th.
Yeah. I really hope it's a Skaven in 7th because I hate them.
Yeah, I think
but it won't be. Oh.
Well, this is what I mean. I think if it depends on what happens in this game tomorrow. I think if James loses to Thomas, that puts him on the back foot a bit, and then he follows up obviously in a game against Kate, where last time he beat her, but obviously then she had some success against Thomas. So depending on how she plays there, then James has David, so that means he has an opportunity to win there. So I think that in 7th, I think it's kind of a contest between currently, I mean, it's just what it is in the table at the moment, which is Kate and James. Sorry. So I think I'm gonna go James 7th, and then Kate 6th, just based on the way it's gone so far and the next games that are coming up, and the fact that James and Kate are playing against each other kind of means that they're going to stay lower, just because they haven't got anyone to climb up past.
Yeah, this might actually sound like I've got a massive prejudice now against Skaven, but I'm going to say that like 7 and 6 are both going to be Skaven teams.
Is this
And
your prediction or your ideal?
I mean, I just feel like Kate's team is going to do better. I think it's so hard. Like literally, like I said, like there's very little between most of the teams.
Hmm.
I mean, it is the next 3 games that are really going to make that decision for Kate, James, and Thomas.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 6 or 7 are both Skaven. I don't care which way around it is.
If Kate comes out on top on her next 2 games, then she's easily not 6th, and my prediction is way out.
Yeah, I think so. And then 5th, I'd probably go Kate.
So is that for 5th?
Yeah, who would you go for 5th?
I'm going to say, and I'm basically just copying what it currently is if I say Thomas, which, yeah, Thomas. Basically,
I mean, it's
me and
a
you-
pretty
we've
safe,
done the same-
yes.
yeah, we've done the same prediction, but with Kate and Thomas sort of reversed, basically.
Sure. And then, then we'll go. So now we're going into the knockouts, aren't we?
Yes, this is the playoffs now. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. So I think for 4th, it'll be Euan.
Interesting.
Then
Euan's only going to get stronger second half. I think like that's the thing with Chaos. Like they're
but
they're
then
not
it's
They
again,
great at.
they have a higher ceiling than some teams.
Yeah.
But that is like
Yeah.
super late. So if that comes in, that'll be like round 13, 14 is the issue. And
Right.
one of the other teams I'm up against, being Kislev, also do that.
I mean,
So,
Euan could easily come 4th and then win like the whole tournament.
Yeah, it could happen very easily. But
and then in 3rd, I'm gonna go. Matt, because I want you to do bad. No, it's just no. Actually, it doesn't really. No, honestly, I think it will be probably me, because Orcs, if I remember last season, did very well first half, and then started plateauing because Orcs start with block, and that's their advantage. But everyone else just gets block, and I don't think we have a very block. Orcs in general don't have that high a ceiling, in my opinion. I'm gonna go.
Your team at the moment though is just brutal. The block point is fair when you've got the amount of guard that you do on your team at the moment. It keeps the team accelerating guard. It keeps and tackle. It keeps the team accelerating up, so it's going to be. Yeah,
I am trying to get guard on absolutely everyone. It's the linemen that are causing the issue.
I have no sympathy.
I'm also thinking of dropping my troll. Like, I just hate him. I just can't stand the bloody thing.
Yeah,
Is he worth 110 team value?
The big guys on a bashy team are kind of only really useful in the mirror, I'd say. And even then, you're relying on hot rolls, poor rolls. I have the same thing with my.
I guess what I would say with them is almost don't use them to hit and just use them as a barrier.
But then they don't skill up, and then you've got like.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean the only reason that I'd use him is to be hit by the what do you call it?
The ogre, the rat ogre.
The rat ogre, yeah. But then I can do the same job with if he's just being hit. I can do the exact same job with a lineman,
Yeah, exactly.
and he only costs 40 gold or 50 gold, something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I can't remember what I was saying. So I'm coming fourth. Did I say that?
I think you said third. I think did you put Euan in fourth? Because I said Euan for fourth, and then you started talking about third. But I assumed you just sort of agreed.
I don't know what's happened. No, I put you in fourth, I think. No, I mean,
Me?
sorry, you, not Ewan in fourth. I put you in fourth. But
Right. Okay.
But no, I'm putting myself in fourth because I genuinely think I will plateau at some point. I think Necromantic is a fucking brilliant team. I'd love to see Kislev first. So I'm going to go Kislev because it's such a fun team and I want them to go first. You will notice that a lot of my predictions are based on who I want to be fourth because it'll be fun. And then I'm going to go Matt because I do actually love the Necromantic team as well. And Matt's a really good player. Euan, I just because it takes ages for Chaos to be great, I'm going to put him in third, and then I'm going to put myself fourth.
So I think I'm going to give you much more credit than that because you've already, you're already 4 points ahead of Lachlan and Euan. And in our predictions, I think we were saying something along the lines of you beating Euan, and well, with the Lachlan one, who knows? Basically, I would probably stick to literally what's in the table now. I'm not going to predict me. I'm just going to avoid saying where I fit into all of this, if that's all right. But I would probably go.
Well, you completely copped out of the you copped out of the entire prediction. You just said the table. Why didn't you just say the table?
Well, that's easy. That's easy then. Matt, you predict from eighth to second, and you don't predict yourself, and you don't predict who's first then.
No, I know. I'm not doing that. I am basically predicting the table. I've put Euan where Euan is, and I think that is genuinely where it will end up. I think, like I said, I think James, like we were saying, James, Kate, and Thomas are kind of in contention, and anything could happen with them. But I'm thinking about it from what we discussed with round 8, 9, and 10 as well, I guess. But again, I think Tom, you're going to beat. I think you're going to beat Euan. It could end up being a tie, I suppose, in which case then people below are going to start catching us up, and then I should probably repredict for them. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to put myself in first because it just sounds arrogant, but I'd like to be there, obviously. I don't know how well I'm going to be against Lachlan. I don't know how well I'm going to be against Euan. So, I mean, in the next couple of games, based on previous games against both Lachlan and Euan, and the fact that I've never beaten Euan before, I'm probably going to be dropping down. So maybe put me in third. So then, no, but that would put Euan up. So maybe put me in fourth then, and do basically the reverse of what you've done, Tom. So me in fourth, Euan in third.
We're both being very English about this.
Tom, you're going to be in second then, and Lachlan first, possibly. But that, I think, could swap. But again, you've already got a point advantage. You're on 14. You're 4 ahead. That means someone has to get a win just to catch up, and you could lose, and you're still in the lead. Like if everybody else lost that was next to you. So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, okay, cool. I think we've done it. As long as the dirty Skaven come as low as possible, I'm happy.
I don't mind. I don't mind them as a team. I like the Skaven. I think they're a fun team to play.
I like
and they're a good
Skaven.
team.
I less like playing against Skaven, but
I don't mind playing against Skaven. I've not found them to be too. It's the sudden kind of out of nowhere scores, like when David's the Skaven, the plays that he makes. I'm always like, where the hell did that come from?
Oh yeah, that's where my hatred. Yeah, that's definitely where my hatred started. Like,
yeah,
but like, David was so good with them.
Have a player like in the middle of nowhere somehow. Like, how did he get there? And then he'll throw the ball to him, and it will somehow come off, and then he'll just run and score. It'll happen out of nowhere. Just no way to sort of see it coming. Yeah.
So I think what we've learned from this podcast is I'm a fascist against Skaven by the sound.
And Euan, you can do that editing thing there, right? And just get Tom saying, "I'm a fascist."
Yeah, it'll be.
Just all the way through. Just edit out all of my talking. And,
Yeah,
and what's your prediction? I'm a fascist.
yeah, that will literally be the podcast. Yeah,
Yes.
use every time someone says something. Yeah.
We'll,
Oh,
but yeah,
great,
we'll have,
Tom.
we'll have
Thanks for
that
that.
actually as a separate podcast, just on repeat for an hour.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then
Just post
suddenly,
it straight on the Facebook page.
yeah, in a year's time, like on the off chance that I got signed and I'm doing really well, like in life, and then it just comes out in the newspapers. Tom Clark, fascist.
Unabashedly so as well.
Self-acclaimed.
Yeah.
This is out of context. It was edited.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm a
On that
fascist.
note,
You were the one that started this, where you said, "This is what we've learned from this podcast: is that I'm a fascist against Skaven."
You're just going to be able to blackmail me so hard.
One
yeah.
quick
recording.
question. One quick question for you, Euan.
Mhm.
Let's say you win this league, and what team would you play next season? And also, if you don't win this league, what team would you play next season?
I'm not expecting to win. From where I'm at the moment.
I just
I
know it'll make
had
a
my
difference.
eyes on Norse and Amazon.
Okay.
But beyond that, I don't know. If I won, I'd probably pick someone tier 2, tier 3 again. Maybe Bretonian off the top of my head, but I don't know.
Tom?
I'm always going to be a bashy team. I'm never gonna. It's not because. I don't know.
If you want to be the most bashy team and be green, you could go for goblins. You will get the most kills. You will win probably the least games.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I really like Nurgle, but they're so expensive. I just like the grotesqueness of them, and they're quite bashy. So I might be Nurgle, and a green. So that's important to me. And if I win, I will. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I could go my least favorite team and go Elf, but that's a really good team. That's the problem. Yeah, my punishment for winning, I would go Elf.
What, Wood Elf?
And I'd feel the ones that look like Power Rangers. Which one are they? Union. I'd go human. Screw it. I'd go human next season because no one's been that. They're not particularly great. I'd go human.
Oh, so I was going to say I'd go human. I'm thinking about doing it. So there's a couple of teams I was thinking about. I'm interested in going human, partly because no one's done it, but also they're not a bad team. They're okay.
They're beautifully bland.
Well, exactly.
They're well
So
rounded.
unpredictable.
They're good players actually. Their throws pretty good, and their catches are as well.
Their blitz is thick. Like their blitz is of seven movement, and they're basically the same as the Orc one, but just with an extra bit of movement. They're amazing.
Yeah, the blitzes are really good.
I also wouldn't mind playing Orc. I have not played Orcs in League. So two teams that I've been thinking about are humans and Orcs. Which is, basically.
I don't know how I feel about that.
But the fact that I could end up playing Orcs.
I mean, it's technically fine. I might not talk to you.
How dare you play my precious
Is this
Orcs?
the equivalent of like Matt dating your ex or something?
It's definitely worse than that. That's yeah. I mean, I've liked orcs before I've liked girls, so that's why it's worse.
Good argument that. If I won, I'd be halflings. I keep looking at the halfling team, thinking these guys are just hilarious. And as I mentioned earlier, if I got a win, it'd just be great.
Yeah, if you go halflings, I'll also go halflings. But yeah, there we go.
It's a big, the weirdest season ever.
Yeah, it would just be like every 2 games or whatever, someone just gets like a free win essentially with lots and
A
lots
lot
of
of
injuries in
XP.
it.
Yeah, a lot of
And
XP.
they're just an experience boost for whoever goes against you. It's just like
Yeah. I like the idea that someone plays, I don't know, Orcs next season, plays the pair of you, and it's like, oh, this just feels like I'm still on double XP.
yeah.
But you
know
do.
what? Go on.
It will be the same thing. I'll put down. I'll do the same thing as I did this season. I'll put down halflings, and everyone like, oh, I can't wait for that game. It turns out, and I'm orcs again.
That would be kind of funny.
But if you do go halfling, and I also have halfling, and we do have that next season, let's say. So if we both
It's such a
end up
good
being
game.
halfling,
Can we have game 1? Like, if we both end up halfling, please, can it be game 1 that me and Matt against us, just so it makes it fair?
I mean, I'm not against that. What I was going to say though is it would then at that point where I was sort of before I was thinking I'll go halfling, and if I lose whatever, it now becomes if I'm halfling I can't be last place. I have to be penultimate place. That's where the competition lies at that point.
Right. Yeah. Sure. No, that makes sense.
So it would just have to be I have to be better than your halfling team.
Yeah. Exactly.
that would
It'll
be
be
the
so
season.
good.
It would actually make it a lot more fun as well, I think, just for that kind of element of competition that's still there to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we did do that, we'd also have to make sure that we weren't like immediately, I think, following each other where opponents are against us, if you know what I mean. So like you can't go against 2 halfling teams in a row, because I feel like that might be a bit too much of a boon. For,
Yeah, if your first 2 games are against halflings, you get a real boost to your XP at the start of the league.
Yeah, so you'd have to like spread us about in terms of like whoever gets the next players.
Yeah.
But but it would make sense to do me versus you first round and then round. Well, whatever the first round of the second half of the season is.
You know what's great about it is we're both so incredibly competitive that we'd be so angry all the time.
Well,
just like, I lost again.
But this is what I was thinking is you kind of expect to lose. Yeah.
Your settings are so much lower that you're like, oh well, and then it's like, something important happened.
Yeah. If you get one touchdown, that's a win.
So good. Like I had way more fun with my Underworlds team when I didn't think I was going to go anywhere with them, and then when I got like at the point where I'm like, oh, I could win this, then it was like,
exactly.
I started having less fun.
Yeah. Because you thought, actually, I'm going to try now. Yeah. Whereas with the halflings, like as soon as you get one win, it's just be like, yeah.
What is the thing that they get? Because they get a really cheap.
They get
halfling chef.
They get so they get the halfling chef.
What does that do? Ow.
So that takes
you roll
away...
a dice.
So you roll 3. Yeah, sorry. You roll 3 dice.
Yeah.
You do this at the start of each half, and for each 4-up, you gain a reroll, and the opponent loses a reroll.
Oh, that's fun.
So yeah, So you'll halflings are cheap, so you'll have a lower team value. You'll be able to buy that. You could quite often buy like that a star player and possibly even like a wizard if you really go down that route. And they're like, cool, you can't reroll anything. I've got 6 rerolls and 2 treemen in the middle of the field. Let's go.
Yeah. Cool. So it's decided me and Matt are going to be halflings next season, and I'm a fascist.
I said I'd be a halfling if I won this season. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Cool. I think that's probably it.
Yeah. Confirmed halflings, and we'll leave it there.
Awesome.
Goodbye, all.
Cool. Have a good one. Thanks for having us.